Hey guys, it's Saf coming at you with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and I'm coming off the back of a long 6-hour test stream where we have actually got the Sun Wukong, and we managed to play test him to look at all the various different ways you can use him. We did a damage test, we did a different build test, and in this video, because you should all be pulling him right now during clan versus clan, I want to give you what I would suggest are the 3 ways that you can build Sun Wukong. We're going to cover also the little nuances with his abilities and how he interacts with certain champions based on our testing, and then I'm going to show you the way that I plan on using him more than anything, and I'll show you a bit of playtesting in the arena. So if you've been under a rock, you've decided you didn't want to come up for it, you didn't want to look at all those events they were chucking at us, or you didn't want to celebrate Ultimate Death Knight's birthday, and you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. I'm of course talking about Sun Wukong. He is the new 7-day login champion, so you need to log into the game 7 days during the promotional period. Doesn't have to be 7 consecutive days, it just has to be 7 days in total before the end of his promotional period. You got to log in and then you will get this champion for free. If you are being smart and you're waiting for clan versus clan, you can get yourself 30,000 points. I wanted to play test him straight away, so I actually got him for champion chase points. So we have got Sun Wukong here, and he is what I would say a meta breaker. That's the best way to describe him. He is a meta breaker. He is the champion you go to if you've got a champion in the arena that you cannot deal with. He will just deal with the problem for you. So what have we got then? He is an A1. He's got an A1 chance to stun a target for 1 turn. That books up to 25, 35, 50%, and it increases by another 25% if they have buffs. So as long as they haven't got block debuffs, you have a 75% chance to stun. It's actually quite strong. We have an A2 here. This is his signature move. Attacks one enemy, will ignore 50% of the target's defense. That immediately makes it a very strong damage dealing ability, because once you pair that with Savage Cruel, that's like 30% more, that's now 80%. Then you put it in with Helm Smasher, you're pretty much ignoring 100% defense. It's true damage, it hits really hard. Will attack remaining all enemies with any surplus damage if the target is killed. This attack will ignore 50% of the target's defense, and it can be critical. So the way this works is you attack one target, you critically hit that target, you ignore 50% of that target. Any remaining HP of the damage, so any remaining damage left after you've killed the target, will get spread to all other enemies. That will ignore 50% defense, but it won't crit. So only the first hit can critically hit. However, if the initial target survives, then it will place a sheep debuff for them for 1 turn. Now, here's the nuances I want to just cover. The way that this is going to work, it will remove any buff on the target, but you need accuracy, right? So you need accuracy to do this, but you can't stop it, which means Stone Skin, there is no conditional check with Stone Skin. If a target is under Stone Skin, he 100% sheeps them every single time, as long as he's got the accuracy. When he sheeps someone, he can't sheep himself. He's immune to being polymorphed when he uses this A2 ability. He can be polymorphed on his other abilities, but not on this ability. The other thing to note with this as well is it is currently meant to reduce the turn meter to 0, and it currently doesn't. So we do have a bug. It's not so important that it breaks the champion, but they have, they did say in the Raid Digest it's meant to reset his turn meter. It currently doesn't. So, we're already, 4 minutes into the video, 3 minutes into the video, we've already found a bug, but there you go. That's to be expected these days, it seems. So it should reduce the turn meter, then puts him into a sheep. The sheep gets his own sheep variant. It acts like a normal polymorph for 1 turn, and then then they take a turn and carries on. Once they're in sheep, nothing that champion does works. You'll see when I play test it how powerful this ability is. Then we've got an A3. He attacks all enemies. Before attacking, he steals all buffs, then places block step debuffs. Now here's the key thing. He does both components before attacking. So he can do this to a poison cloud head. So when I was playtesting him last night on stream, we basically were able to target a mischief head with 5 or 6 buffs. We were able to completely remove all those buffs and take them for ourselves, then place block buffs on that mischief head whilst he was under poison cloud. It's incredibly powerful. This ability on a 3-turn cooldown is MVP for Hydra. Then we have the passive here. There was lots of confusion about how this worked. We place tested it. He revives himself with 100% HP, which is probably more important than the turn meter, and 100% turn meter 3 turns after they were killed. So how does this work? So you die, then the next 3 interactions happen in battle, whether that's your team or the enemy team. And once the 3rd interaction happens, he automatically revives with 100% HP, so full health, and 100% turn meter. Now, here's the important thing that people need to understand. 100% turn meter doesn't mean he gets an extra turn. it means he comes back with 100 units of turn meter. If there is an enemy on the other team that has 110 units of turn meter, they will go before the Wukong. So the revival doesn't guarantee him a turn, it just puts him at the high point of a turn count, right? Eventually he will get a turn. So there's a very strong possibility that he revives and then could get re-killed instantly. But this has no cooldown, so it just keeps happening. I had a situation with Lydia where Lydia blocked the first attempt, and then 3 turns later, he revived anyway. So it doesn't like disable it. The only way you stop this is block revive or block passive skills. It's the only way you stop it. And you will forget. You'll see probably in some different examples I'll show you. I'll keep forgetting that I shouldn't revive him. I keep reviving him with my revivers. You don't need to. His job is not, he'll revive himself. It's really strong. You also get a 28% aura in battle, which is actually very good for something like Live Arena, because now you can put up someone like your Arbiter and your Wukong and you won't lose your aura. It's like what people do with Kaima on Arbiter. You can't really ban out their aura, which is a bit of a problem. This is really good that it's 28%. It's great aura. 105 base speed, 1.586 attack. It is strong. So that's kind of his kit. So the first thing we wanted to test and the first thing we wanted to know was, okay, what's his damage score capability? So we built him in a strong damage build. The first thing we wanted to do was just build him in around about 190 speed. I think we built him about 6.9k attack. We built him with about 250% crit damage. So it's a strong damage build, but it's nowhere near like the scale of strength you can get to, right? You could easily, just with good artifact ascension and various different things, put on another 1,000 attack on him. He was pretty much doing campaign in 9 seconds, and he was doing it unbooked. All of my testing was done unbooked. All of these abilities that we've just showcased all work 100% of the time unbooked. All you're buying with books is damage and cooldown. Specifically the A2, you'd be buying 30% damage. It's a very, very large amount of damage bonus that you're going to gain. So the first build we built with that, and he was capable of nuking. Now, the only issue you've got with the A2 is you've got to set it up correctly. Ideally, you want to pick low defense targets or low HP targets, because it's all about how much excess damage you can spread to all of their enemies. You'll see in the clip that you're about to see here, I absolutely one-shot something. Okay. Who do we kill? Bye, Baron. So that is kind of like the way to build him for damage. You would build him like a traditional damage dealer. You don't put accuracy on him. You don't really want to sheep people. I mean, you can if you want to, but in this instance, your priority is just like, can we kill someone with the A2 and do lots of damage? That's the goal here. So you're using him as a damage-based aura. All you would need to do is get someone to give him increased attack. If you can do that, then you've got options, right? You don't have to force yourself into an Arbiter and a speed team. You could use him as the aura and bring someone like a Duchess support or something else like that to basically give him the increased attack. Now, I do think that's going to have some issues like in PvE content. You'll see in these different videos that I'm showing you here where he can kind of do some damage on sort of the dragon waves, but not enough that it becomes like a very strong amount of damage. You can't really clear wave clears around about stage 25 dragon. He can do dragon 19 quite comfortably, but most people are going to want to run 20 plus. So as a wave clearer in dungeon content, he's not that great in this damage build. As an arena nuker, Spirit is a pretty okay affinity, but he does get heavily counted by someone like a Rotus. It's quite frustrating. What I will say about his A3 AoE, it's not as strong as his A2, but one thing he does do with his A3 is he will place block buffs on a target before he kills them. So if you don't proc the Resurgent on someone like a Skull Crown or a Leorius or someone with like a Candy with Swift Parry, he'll be able to just get rid of that. And he also seems to be able to steal things like Stone Skin away. He steals things like Unkillable away. It's very powerful, that steal mechanic. You basically can get rid of it's basically like a buff strip steal complete. It's really strong. If you can avoid the polymorph, then there is some utility there on like in this kind of build where you build a little bit of accuracy, not much. This build is all about damage. Full damage, attack, crit damage, bit of speed, because he does benefit from going a little bit faster, and just cycle the A2 and the A3 and you will probably do a fair amount of damage. He could absolutely be your arena nuker. Now there's a second build that I think is more appropriate for like a Hydra build, and this would be what I would call like a hybrid damage build. So the goal would be to get him up to about 350 accuracy. Now you can see on the screen here, I've got a similar build with my Vladimir the Nightborn. He is in what I call a hybrid damage build, where he's at about 250 speed, 271 accuracy. Then I've built in Savage Cool for as much damage as I can get. Now, this is the kind of thing you would want to do in Hydra, because his A3 is what makes him very strong in Hydra. But his A2 doesn't really do much because when you decapitate a head, it doesn't count as a kill. There's no excess damage. So essentially, the A2 is just a single target cannon. But it is a good cannon for dealing with things like the Suffering Head. It ignored 50% defense. So if a Suffering Head has consumed one of your champions, he is a bit like a GNU, where you can pick someone and just take out a huge chunk of that consumption. Mine was hitting for around about 270,000 on the Suffering Head. So it's actually a very good way of just kind of pulling them out. Now, this was in no accuracy build. You'd build him up to be around about 250 speed, around about 350 accuracy, whatever you need to basically breach the Hydra defenses, and then just put him in as much damage as you can get. It doesn't have to necessarily be savage, but it would be beneficial. This is what I would build him as a second build if I wanted to exclusively use him in Hydra or in sort of more generalist content. He is kind of like this hybrid carry potential. His A1 stunning is quite good for wave clearing in terms of stunning targets, so you might be able to use him in some Doom Tower waves where there's lots of buffs, you want to just get rid of them, take them off, put block buffs up. He can help you in that function. It's a bit like how I use Vlad, the Nightborn. Now, the third build, this is the build that I think is the best build for him, for particularly end game or late game players, and it is the build that I'm going to show you on screen here. This is the build I have him in at the moment. He is in a very fast, high accuracy build. So we have got him with no damage. We've got him at 342 speed at the moment and 556 accuracy. We do have more speed to come because we can awaken these boots all the way up. We'll do that in clan versus clan because obviously you get points now. So we've got more weight Shadow Legends to play for. But again, we could be getting more accuracy here. We could be getting more accuracy here. We could be getting, you know, some more tanky stats around the places as well. So this build is all about enabling his A2 and his A3. So you want as much accuracy and as fast as you can go, and a balance between the two. Now, this is, for me, a little bit too slow still for like the end game meta. You're probably going to need to be somewhere in the region of 370, probably going to need to push to like 600 plus accuracy. Now, a lot of people are saying, that's fine, I'll just put 700 resistance. You just pair him with an increased accuracy champion if that's the case. So you can pair him like a Lady Kimmy or something of that nature. I don't really think anyone can out-resist his abilities. So let me show you how I'm using this champion. I'm using it in Arena more than anything. It is where he is the most powerful. Let's see if we can find, I mean, it's just, resets just happened, so let's just see if we can find a team that's annoying. This will be a great example, right? So I'm using Fenax as my DPS champion. So in this situation here, we're probably expecting, there wasn't a stone skin because we just had arena reset. But if we don't want to fight the Rotus, we can just put the Rotus to sleep. There you go. Now the Ultimate Death Knight is out of the picture. So all of Ultimate Death Knight's passive doesn't work right now. So I can go and pick on whoever I want. I can go pick on the Arbiter. I wouldn't be able to do this if Ultimate Death Knight was alive. The other cool thing when Polymorph comes back, they reduce them to half health. So even though you're not dealing damage, you technically are, because I just took a full health Ultimate Death Knight to half. We can come in here, we can steal some buffs, and then we can just probably take out the Rotus. The passive's going to kick in, but it's absolutely fine. And at this point, we're probably absolutely fine. Now, I shouldn't protect the Wukong, because to be honest, it doesn't matter if he dies. We protect the Duchess at all costs. And now it's just a case of we are just waiting for the win. This wasn't a great team. I was expecting the Ultimate Death Knight to have stone skin so I could properly show that, but this is sometimes what you have when you get arena resets. So we could try and take on Victor Tess here, who is currently in Gold 3. Look at all this wailing, Victor. Shameful. Like I don't think we can really beat this because I just don't have the champions to lock this team out. There's just too many of them, like double Taras and that. What a crazy team he's got there. But if you had a little bit more like balance there, that would be a little bit better. If my account actually had things like a Yumiko or Warlord or a Kaimar or a Siphi or Leorius or something I can actually put up against it, then we would give that a go. But definitely like this type of team here now, this type of team, a lot of people would be terrified about. Rotus is strong. You can't really get to him. Ultimate Death Knight, Uko's a problem. This is the type of team that I think you can target, right? So we can either keep the Duchess or we can put in our Arbiter. We'll probably just try it without the Duchess here. We'll just try it like this. So we're just going to run this through auto, and then we'll jump to the actual fight that he's going to play. Okay, so we're in this fight now. So normally this would be a bit of a nightmare. Because we're fast, we can get to go first. So immediately I can just take out the Ultimate Death Knight. He's no longer a problem. Stone Skin adds no value for him anymore. This is why I think I'm actually of a strong opinion that I think Ultimate Death Knight might get taken out of the meta with this champion, because he is no longer a problem. Now I can try and steal some buffs. We managed to steal some without getting polymorphed. I can now just take him out instantly. And I think this is why I'm pretty confident that Ultimate Death Knight now is no longer meta. because you can just see that he just takes out the Stone Skin. The Stone Skin was not a problem. Normally, I'd be waiting for the Stone Skin to fall off. He'd be absorbing all the damage. His Rotus would get turns to get going. The Rotus can't do that anymore, because essentially the Ultimate Death Knight just gets taken out. Let's try this other team here. It looks like we've got another Kraken going on here. We're going to put our Wukong against this sort of very high awakened team down the bottom here. We will probably lose the other two fights. Just straight out, we will probably lose the other two fights, because look how much just souls and awakening they've got. This is a type of a player that's ahead of where I can actually compete at the moment. The Duchess and Stone Skin kind of ruins our ability to one-shot here. Oh, well, maybe we're actually okay, because we took the Stone Skin. If we didn't take the Stone Skin, we lost that. So we're just going to run through here, and then, again, we're going to jump through to the actual fight. Okay, so when in this fight here, we'd be pretty terrified because the Jorgit is a problem. We can't, unfortunately, target the Jorgit because the Stone Skin will still... the Ultimate Death Knight passive will still take the sheep even if we target him. But we could try to steal the buffs and block the buffs. I think the best case scenario is just take him out of the fight, and then we can see if we can tank out the Jorgit, which actually will be quite tricky. But we can give it a go. So we're just going to basically do this to make sure he can't one-shot. Apparently he can still one-shot. This is the problem with Jorgit. Such a strong champion. Unfortunately, just nothing we can do there. But there's the revive coming back in. Wukong, we can probably steal some buffs. Unfortunately, Jorgit is just too strong. That's the only downside, is the Ultimate Death Knight will still take the sheep, right? So you can't really stop it. I probably should have taken the buffs first, and maybe I could then try and do something with it. But that is the kind of the downside to, like, I think that was just a case of he has such a strong Jorgit, I couldn't really stop the damage. You know, Jorgit does just generally carve through everything. Let's give this team a go here. Obviously, they've got a Kaimar lead, so we'll be interested to see if we beat the speed trap or not. Let's jump to that team now. Okay, so the test is, do we go faster than the Kaimar? We do. So again, the problem here is the Ultimate Death Knight. We just take out the Ultimate Death Knight. And now, basically, we can just tank out the Leoris. Now, the Leoris is not going to ever one-shot me on full HP. But because we've now taken the Stone Skin, we can actually start targeting this guy and kill him off. So basically, he's instantly useless. Then we can come in and we can try and steal some buffs. We've now blocked the Leoris passive, which means we can now one-shot him from an AoE. We won't block revive him because we haven't got Vlad, but we can basically do some damage there. And we're back round to this. Now, this is a completely unbooked Wukong. This is the value here. He's completely unbooked. So you can use him almost instantly with just a rank 6 and good build. So now we're probably one-shot the win, and that win has happened. Basically, Ultimate Death Knight is now useless. That's what I'm trying to showcase here, is how he can literally target someone with Stone Skin, take out the Stone Skin is not relevant, put him on half HP, then you follow up and one-shot them. So the whole point of Ultimate Death Knight is you put him in 2-turn Stone Skin, you put him slow, he absorbs, he forces you to attack him, he gives your team a chance to take a turn. Well, that's not going to happen with Wukong. Wukong just goes, I'm going to counter you, and I'm going to stop you from being able to do it. Now, there's not like it's going to work on every team. It depends on RNG a little bit. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be Ultimate Death Knight. You could look at something like this top team here, for example, where there is a Hellcath. Hellcath will be quite annoying most of the time. And you could go, do you know what? I don't want to deal with the Hellcath, or I don't want to deal with the Uko. So I'm just going to take out the Uko. So Uko can't steal any buffs anymore. Once he's a sheep, he's useless. Now, the block damage would be quite annoying. But here we go. So he's come back. So again, I can steal those buffs. Now I've stolen the block damage. Now, obviously, Hellcath can ignore that. And then I can follow up with a block revive. So you can see how it just absolutely counters a lot of the strategies and a lot of the annoying champions. Now, we have got a bit of a wait time because obviously Mithrala's got a lot of accuracy. Very difficult to beat her accuracy check. But we pretty much won this now because we've taken out all their win conditions, which is a Hellcath. You know, in Hellcath teams, you may be sitting here thinking, well, Hellcath's not like Taras and Marichka. Sometimes a Hellcath team can actually be very difficult to beat. It can be very frustrating because you can't actually do any damage and Hellcath slowly chips you down. Hellcath's single A1 attack is never going to kill you, but when you can constantly do it all the time, then it's going to create many problems for you. So actually just being able to either take out the Mighty Uko or take out the Hellcath out of the flow of battle is actually a great assistance. Let's just skip that battle there. We don't really care about that. So that's kind of like how I'm using him. I actually think he's very powerful in this build for all arena content. When you're looking at different options like the Tormin here, you could just take out the Valkyrie or the Tormin. In live arena, if someone bans your Arbiter, you still have a competent aura because of the way he's built. Like this team here, for example, we can basically come in here and we can say, like, normally Marichka and this champion's annoying. We can just say, stop it. Now, actually, we weak hit. So the only downside to his A3 is it is affinity specific. So if you weak hit, it can be a problem. So you don't want to weak hit, basically. But we can come in here and we can just steal all of the buffs, including Stone Skin. It's so strong. And then, of course, we can follow up with our kill. The fact, I'm pretty sure he is the only champion in the game that can AoE buff steal. Like, buff steal every single buff AoE. We can just kill these off now. Obviously, we would have A1 there. And the good thing is you don't really need to protect him. Because if he dies, he's just going to come back alive. So we're really not concerned about protecting him at all. Because if he dies, well, it's not a problem. Like, we can just put Marichka into a sheep here. Take her out of the battle flow. Obviously, this is the bug that you're seeing here. We should be resetting the turn meter according to Plarium. We're not. So I don't really know what's happening there. Let's just take out the Elva. Steal the buffs again. It's a very powerful ability. So we're basically dealing with an issue that would normally be, you know, the Phenax is blocking reviving, so it stops the Marichka counter. And he is just like picking on the champions that we don't want to have to deal with in arena. Let's just do one more test, see if we can find another powerful team that would be strong against it. Let's take this team here. Very strong team. It's a very, very strong team. It's a 400,000 team. Now, normally Taras would be terrifying. But all we have to do is we can come in here and we can go, Taras, go to sleep. So when Taras comes back, he's going to come back with half his health. Now, we've lost Uko there, so this is a good test. So this is what you can do now. We can basically come in here. Somehow we managed to sleep ourselves, which is fear ourselves here, which is a bit annoying. We're going to see like 3 turns in a second. Uko's going to come back. Wukong's going to come back. Going to get denied. But that's absolutely not a problem. We've block revived the Taras. My Phenax, an epic champion with no awakening, has just one-shot and got rid of this Taras. Doesn't matter, Wukong is back. So even though Lydia will block his revive, because the revive has no cooldown, essentially Lydia's passive is too long a cooldown for him. He'll just keep coming back. We can now take some more buffs. He feared, unfortunately. But you see the value. We basically took a very strong Taras and we put him to 0 health. And then we followed up with our actual damage dealer. Now, I know a lot of you in chat are probably going to be saying, oh, well, it's easy. You've got a Necret. I'm only using Necret because I don't have a Rotus or Leorius. If you've got a Rotus or a Leorius, you don't need Necret. You can obviously bring those champions that are able to keep themselves alive. My account doesn't have the luxury of having champions that can actually stand on their own two feet without needing some sort of support. So the Necret is kind of mandatory to keep the Phenax alive. But you see the point that I'm trying to make. A Taras, which is considered like the best damage DPS champion, the main problem with him is you've got so much HP that you need to beat. Because of his passive, every time you attack him, you lose your own attack. It becomes very difficult to actually take down a Taras. The fact that you can halve his HP and then take away all of his buffs, and then when he comes back, when he's in sheep, he's going really slow. It just means it gives you the opportunity to one-shot him. And once you do, you win the fight. So I just took down this team here with a Phenax because of the power of Sun Wukong. So there you go, guys. That is the build that I think is the best build for him personally. That's the way I'll probably be using him. I'll continue to use him in this build here, where he is in a very fast, very high accuracy build. You know, we want to kind of get to 370, 700. That's my kind of breakpoint, ideally. You don't really care about defensive stats, really, because if you don't go first, you're going to lose anyway, right? You want to go first. You don't want any damage because essentially you don't want to proc Resurgent. That's why I've got no damage in the build. And we've just gone down this route because we want to try and proc his Cycle of Magic, Eagle Eye. And all of these tests that I've shown you today are unbooked. He can campaign farm, unbooked. He can do Hydra, unbooked. He can work in arena, unbooked. The only thing you're getting with books is damage and cooldowns. The A1 maybe for stun chance, but it's very minor. This doesn't require books. This doesn't require books. Now, in terms of blessings, what I'd recommend on him if you got him awakened, in arena, I'd recommend Temporal Chains. for this build because you want accuracy, and this will actually give him agency plus accuracy, right? Because you'll gain turn meter drops at the same time as gaining accuracy. You could go for a life harvest if you are high awakened, but you don't get the accuracy with it. It would give you more turn meter, but you wouldn't get the accuracy. So I think temporal chains is better here. If you wanted damage, you would go lightning cage in arena. Lightning cage is just the best for damage in arena for an attack-based champion because you protect all your buffs with this lightning orb and you get attack and crit damage. And Soul Reap now just has so many problems actually dealing damage. It doesn't ignore shield. Harima passive reduces it. It has some weird things with swift parry. Doesn't execute someone with swift parry. Soul Reap is just one of those blessings now that, to be honest, is not worth it. I'd rather the consistency of having buffs protected than the odd chance that Soul Reap might actually execute someone. It's very frustrating. You can obviously, if you're using him in PvE, look at a Brimstone if you wanted for accuracy as well. That's totally fine as an option, especially in Hydra. If you want to target that A1 onto the Suffering Head, you could do that if you wanted to. And I will probably do some math later on in terms of a raw PvE damage dealer to determine, is a 6-star Crushing Rend better than a Phantom Touch? Because it's a question we've been talking about with Whisper as well. Is it better to go Crushing Rend at 6-star, or is it better to go Phantom Touch? Which one actually yields more damage? Because this is going to give me a 100% chance with a 35% bonus. This is going to give me more ignore defense. But it's dependent on the target's defense and various different things as to whether or not the bonus does more damage. So there you go, guys. Bit of a long video. If you want to watch the full live stream, you can catch it in the live channel. It's about a 6-hour long stream. The first 2 hours we were kind of warming up, but you can basically watch the entire stream of all the different playtests and how I went through the different processes. You've seen some clips in this video of that live stream where you can see how we've tested and playtested different things. And if you're new to the channel, and if you enjoyed the live stream last night, if you watched it, we had loads of new people coming in saying hi. Feel free to hit the subscribe button so you get more of my content. We do about daily releases when I'm not overloaded with coding work and development work on HH Gaming, but you know, we do daily releases. We will be doing new clan boss teams because I got to basically take Emic out of my clan boss team now because we're gonna need to have to build in for arena probably and different things. So we do loads of cool fun stuff. Consider hitting that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up and let me know in the comments below, how are you getting on with Sun Wukong? How have you built him? Are you using one of these 3 ways, or have you found a different way that I haven't thought about? Certainly, like for Hydra, Relentless would be a better build in that hybrid build. Reflex, right? Getting back around to this ability more often is probably a good idea. There you go, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.